Hi, and welcome to the Geek Legion of Doom. This is a Marvel Legends review, and we're going to be having a look at some of the box sets that are available and sort of kind of special packs from at least the Toy Biz line of it anyway. So we're going to start off with a few kind of twin packs that were produced, and we've got a few of them here. And they're specifically, they like some of the figures, these had variants as well. And what we've actually got is a few of the variant versions that were available. So the first one we're going to have a look at here is Kingpin versus Daredevil. So do you want to talk us through this one, Matt?
Yes, that's the Kingpin. He's a fat dude. What beats on Daredevil, or doesn't beat on him rather, just sits around and makes other people beat on him. Yeah, I think these are quite good. These figures. I think the styling. I would have liked him to have looked a little bit more buff around the chest area.
Yeah.
He's all belly.
He hasn't got much up top, has he?
No.
The actual standard version is he's in the white suit. I guess it's probably more iconic suit.
Yeah.
And obviously Daredevil, you've got just in his kind of normal sort of costume rather than the variant. Obviously, you've got Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
Version,
which is kind of cool. I like that with the.
Yeah. So I prefer the Daredevil figure. It's a bit different, but I think I prefer the kind of standard version of Kingpin personally.
Yeah.
Purely because it's more iconic, and you've not had the kind of him as a solus figure at this point in time.
No, exactly.
Okay, so the now we've got War Machine versus the Mandarin. So again, this is the variant version. The original version had Iron Man versus a kind of a sort of different type,
the green
Mandarin.
Yeah.
I got to say, I much prefer this version of both of these figures. I quite like the colour scheme of the War Machine armour here. I think it's a better War Machine than the actual sort of figure that they've done previously, and I prefer the Mandarin as well.
I like that Mandarin. I think it's very good. I quite like. It's not my favorite, not personally my favourite Iron Man, or War Machine in this particular case. I mean, you can see here.
He's a little bit small, I have to say.
Yeah.
To be honest, I guess War Machine.
I think so as well. I mean, it's a similar thing where they've used a normal body mould rather than like metal plating or armour plating for his suit. So he looks like he's wearing kind of lycra with metal plates on the rest of his body. It's like, go for his weak spot. Where's that? In the lycra. And then obviously the Mandarin.
So we can. So if I don't know how much.
This is kind of cool. I do like that.
Yeah. So it's obviously a different suit, but you know, this variant is actually, I guess, more of what I would consider the classic Mandarin, which is why I prefer it personally.
Yeah. I mean, don't also we should probably mention that the diorama bit in the centre. This is like a large unfoldable bit for sticking your figures on and whatnot.
Yeah, we also better mention we have 3 of these twin packs. I think there's actually 6 that are available, and that's not even including the variants.
Yeah.
I think there's a Hulk versus Leader one. You saw there's some Punisher versus Jigsaw, which we don't have, and Wolverine versus Sabretooth, and each one of them has a variant. So in actual fact, there's 12 versions available, and we've got 3. So there you go.
I mean, these were probably, I don't know how much they were originally, but even if you're looking down the, that's quite a sizable amount of money to spend on things at that time.
You got to bear in mind they had the kind of obviously the Solus figures as well. So again, this is the variant version. So you've got unmasked Captain America or Steve Rogers, and Baron von Strucker. So a different character. I think the actual normal one has the Red Skull. I think it is.
Yeah, it's the Red Skull.
But it's Baron von Strucker, which is a different character. So that's why I think it's a better thing. To be honest with you.
Yeah. And it's quite a good. I think it's quite a good Captain.
It's a very good mould, actually, isn't it? I have to say, and I quite like the fact that they kind of given the scales on his on
yeah.
his top, on his sort of
The sort of chain mail
Yeah.
or plate mail or whatever it's. Yeah, that's kind of cool, isn't it? So
and you'll sort of see obviously the normal Red Skull version.
it's
All
kinda
right,
cool, yeah.
so that's the twin packs.
This is the House of M box set. It's cool. I like this. I mean, this is of all the box sets. I think I quite like the figures. Obviously, it's alternate universe figures with like this crazy feral Hulk. I mean, look, this Iron Man armor is awesome. I think.
It's got a huge backpack with it.
I mean, how cool is that? And the things kind of. I think they've. It's ironic, really, that they've taken so much effort in this, like a much lesser known kind of sub story from the comics. But I mean, the House of M was relatively popular, I suppose, at the time. But yeah, it's kind of cool. As we have a flick on the back, you can see all the figures set up. I believe. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe it's on the side. Maybe it's not on any of this. Ah, that's rubbish. Well, So just so you know, if you get an opportunity, go and have a little Google for the House of M Iron Man figure. It's very cool, I think. So all set up when it comes to buying toys.
Was this the first box set?
This was the first box set, yeah. So,
Right, do you want to talk us through it from this side onwards?
Oh yeah, so you've got Venom. It's okay, quite a nice character. Could have done more with the mouse. Doc Ock, Spider-Man, Kraven, Green Goblin, and Electro. Black Cat as well. Yeah, that's okay. I mean, you can see they've used material here. Kraven's got these hilarious like clothing. It looks like something out of Kiss or Poison or something like that, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah, I mean it's like going to be the Sinister Six box set.
Yeah.
Although I don't think Black Cat was ever on the Sinister Six.
No.
But there you go.
And neither was Spider-Man.
Yeah, well, there's 7 figures in total, so it's obviously Spider-Man and his villains.
Yeah. Which actually does say that. So. But yeah, it's kind of a cool box set. Like I say, I mean, this was. I remember seeing this was released in the UK, and I think it went over to one of the other toy chains, but I can't remember which one. Who also carried a limited number of Marvel Legends figures, which was a bit of a saviour.
I like the Green Goblin, the fact that he's got kind of
lenses
on his, so you can kind of see into his mask a little bit.
It's got a nice bit of detail, yeah. And Electro, he was quite a serious villain at one point, and now everyone just absolutely takes the mickey out of him, really, don't they? I mean, he's a bit old hat. I think he's making a bit of a comeback, isn't he?
Yeah, he will be in the new film, won't he?
Yeah, so it should be quite interesting to see what they do with him.
We haven't got to look at the back.
And all the stats and stuff. Special poster book included, which would be nice to take out. But clearly I won't be doing that. There's some awesome artwork here. Tells you a little bit about the Sinister Six here. Obviously statistics along the back, which is always quite nice. And if you ever get a chance, like, it tells you the actual heights of some of these guys. Like, for example, Doc Ock is was it 5'9", an inch shorter than Spider-Man. Yeah, it's kind of cool.
All right, what have you got next?
Probably.
Yeah, so the Young Avengers are relatively more recent addition to the Marvel Universe, and these were basically heroes that kind of try to ape the classic Avengers. And this was really from the initial run where you had Iron Lad, which was actually a younger version of Kang the Conqueror, in a kind of an Iron Man armor.
Spoiler that.
Patriot, I think his name is Zaya. I forget the actual. I've forgotten his name.
Yeah.
And he's basically he's the grandson of the the first attempt at the Captain America, Isaiah Bradley, I think it is. who was a black guy when they
Yeah.
tested the super serum on before they kind of got it to Steve Rogers. So it's not as doesn't work quite as well, and he's basically a relation to him. Then you've got Hulkling, who I think is a Kree.
He is a Kree, yeah.
And he basically just chooses to sort of look like the Hulk, but he's basically a shapeshifter. So in theory, he could be pretty much whatever he wanted. And then you've got Asgardian, who isn't actually an Asgardian. I think they changed his name to Wiccan now, or more recently. So rather than Asgardian, I don't know why they. I'm pretty sure he was never called Asgardian. In actual fact, I mean, he was always. Maybe they just didn't want to have it for the toys. And he's basically kind of uses more magic, as you can probably guess, and kind of styles himself after Thor. So there you go.
Cool.
So another Spider-Man's fearsome foes.
Yeah.
So what we've got here, we've kind of got the classic Rhino.
Yeah.
Obviously one of the bigger figures.
So I've always quite liked I quite like the more modern version where he's it's more of like a suit of robotics.
Yeah, it's more of the ultimate version, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
You've also got Carnage,
Yeah.
who is a kind of offspring of Venom, and he is basically a kind of serial killer with the kind of the power of a symbiote. Guy's name's Cletus Cassidy. Obviously, you've got another Spider-Man. You have the Vulture, possibly the lamest Spider-Man villain, in my personal opinion.
Old man. Yeah,
And the reason why Sam Raimi dropped out of Spider-Man 4. There you go.
Mind you, I have to say, I love Sam Raimi, but after 3.
And the Lizard, of course,
The Lizard.
who we saw more recently in the Amazing Spider-Man movie. But that's his classic look there.
And Doc Connors made a quick
Can
appearance.
you have a quick look at the back of that?
Oh yeah, made a quick appearance in the original Spider-Man film as well, didn't he?
So like the rest of them, obviously you've got different posters and the kind of the stats on the back as well. Right then. You can never have too many Wolverines.
No.
So an X-Men selection. Now, obviously, we mentioned in one of the other videos we don't actually have the Gambit figure, but here he is in this box set. Kind of another variant of Wolverine unmasked. You've got Magneto. I'm not sure if that's a different mould. I think his face might be different, but other than that, it's the same mould.
No, I think it's similar to the Iron Man molds that they've been using with the
We also mentioned that we thought there might be a variant of Beast with a lab coat on, so I'm not sure if we were thinking of this one.
No, possibly, yeah.
So it's good. I don't sure if there was actually one or not, but it could have just been this. And you've also got Rogue, which I don't think was available in any other.
Soda's pack.
Yeah.
This is interesting because I think
She is one of the sort of more prominent X-Men.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Absolutely. And she's quite a cool character.
But to be honest, I think these box sets really benefit from having like at least one exclusive character that you can't get on a Soda's pack. I think it's the smart move.
Yeah.
There you go.
Marvel Legends movie monsters, basically.
Yeah. So now a lot of these characters are actually so this is Marvel's versions of the kind of I guess the classic like Universal style monsters. So we'll start off with Zombie, and he's actually a character called Simon Garth, who is actually a real character. I actually used to read comics, Tales from the Zombie, and you don't see much of him these days. They had a kind of limited series in about 2011, I believe, but I quite like him, quite decent. You've also got Frankenstein's monster, and he was, I believe, he appeared in the Fear Itself series. So, again, and also got Dracula. Now, Dracula and Frankenstein are both public domain properties, so this is why they're allowed to use these type of characters. So here you've got very kind of classic style Dracula. Now, you actually had Dracula in a kind of a new X-Men story more recently, X-Men versus the Vampires or something, and he looks a lot different. He's kind of got long white hair and he looks very, very different. And then you've got Werewolf by Night as well. And obviously there is not a specific character. This is, I think his name's Jack Russell. And in the
As in the dog.
yeah. And there's two werewolf characters in the Marvel universe. You've got this one and you've got Man-Wolf.
Interesting.
So there you go. Can I put it at the back?
Oh, look. And there's the comics.
There you go.
That's very nice.
Urban Legends. I guess this they should have called this maybe Marvel Knights, to be honest. So you've got here the kind of like the, I guess, the street level characters. Daredevil, Punisher.
With his rocket launcher once again.
Yeah. White clothed Elektra and Spider-Man.
We talked about a white clothed Electro earlier, actually. He was one of the variants. But it's quite good. I quite like this Daredevil here. Is this, which Daredevil? Is this the...
Well, that's the comic
Affleck
version of Daredevil, isn't no, that's not the movie version.
I forget.
That is just the kind of the normal version, which actually officially wasn't actually on a Marvel Legends at this point. You only had the Ben Affleck version, and you had the other version from the Spider-Man Legends. Anyway, I digress. Now, the difference here being that this box doesn't have a character that hasn't been at least had a figure before. So you've got variant versions of characters that we've seen.
Although I will say this was the second box set I believe that they released. No, third box set that they released. Could be, I can't remember, but it was very early on anyway. So I think at this stage they may not have released some of these figures, or it was in that sort of era. So.
Look at the back.
Kind of cool. I'd just like to point out as well as the Punisher looks like an angry Italian cook. Hey, you want a pizza? I'm gonna punch you in the face. This is probably a little bit a rubbish impression of an Italian person.
Yeah, so you've got the Tim Bradshaw Punisher in the back. I think that's going to be him, really, when we actually, you know, the kind of the figure. I mean, I think that's going to be more representative of that style Punisher.
Yeah, maybe.
The more sort of Punisher Max type.
Yeah. Right.
But there is actually a version.
Yeah,
There is definitely a version here.
Um,
So yeah, it's the Fantastic Four. I think this was the more recent one out of the three of them.
the box sets.
Yeah.
Oh no, these all came out around the same time. These are all variants of each other. Look.
I think those two are variants, but I think this one was a bit later because they've kind of changed up the costumes and stuff. So yeah, you've got Johnny Storm like part way transforming into the Human Torch. You've got the Thing in his trench coat with his fedora on. And you can see that obviously the actual costumes here are kind of not the traditional style costumes of Mr. and Mrs. Fantastic here.
Trying to jazz them up a little bit.
Yeah. And you've got Big Hand. Whoa. Yeah, so there you go.
I mean, for a dude who works in the in a lab constantly, Mr. Fantastic has got a great physique. What's going on there?
Yeah, he's rubber, isn't he? So you can just
Mold
pretend he's got.
Yeah, that's something similar. I'd like to be able
Let's
to
look
do.
at the back of it.
Oh yeah. No, you cannot.
There you go.
Some nice artwork as well again.
Is there a date on that one? We can have a quick look at the.
Let's have a look. (2005).
So,
You're right. It's 2004.
see, I know my shit. So this is the original Fantastic Four box set, and it comes with a whole bunch of things really. So you've got Doctor Doom. Now, if you remember, if you've watched the one of the earlier series, I mentioned that obviously with the Solus Doom didn't have a scarred face, whilst this one does.
Yep.
And you've got Human Torch again in a kind of part-way transformed sort of state here.
I quite like that figure as well. I quite like. It's not too bad, is it?
Yeah, you've got Mr. Reed Richards with a lab coat, and you've also got him as a kind of a ball, which is
I like that. It's quite funny, isn't it?
yeah. You've got obviously Sue Storm there. Kind of just a standard figure. You've got Franklin Richards, which is quite cool, and you've also got Herbie that was in the cartoon when they took out the Human Torch and replaced it with Herbie.
Yeah.
And of course you've got Ben Grimm the Thing.
I like his t-shirt. 4.5.
Yeah, it's quite fun.
Yeah.
So
I've got a funny feeling this might be like a proper rubber ball, to be honest with you.
you're probably right.
Yeah. Which would be quite cool.
I'm trying to flip it over for us. There you go, once again.
More posters.
Cool.
Cool.
And then finally, as with the figures, the Solus figures, we have the same box set, but a variant. Now, can you spot the differences?
You might not be able to see it because the difference is invisible.
Well, there's two differences here, I think. So you've got Human Torch.
Translucent. It's sort of. Yeah.
It's slightly different, sort of semi sort of translucent, and a bit more transformed. And you've obviously got Sue Storm, who's meant to be. They should have just kept it at the packet.
Yeah,
Shouldn't they?
that's
Just
what I
just
thought.
had a blank
Yeah.
space there.
Yeah.
She looks more like Emma Frost, I have to say, in
Yeah.
a way, doesn't she?
That's kind of cool, though. I mean,
yeah.
it's good. There's a nice bit of detail. If somebody in the marketing department said, "Right, let's just get a figure and don't
And
paint
we don't
it."
have to paint her. Bargain.
If only we had more invisible characters in the Marvel universe.
So that is the box set, or the variant box set, I should say, of Fantastic Four. So this one's obviously going to be a little bit more pricey if you are a collector. Other than that, it's the same box set. So that concludes our look at the Toy Biz versions of the Marvel Legends. What is your favourite box set out of the ones we've showed you? Leave us a comment, and we'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.